Hello, friends. Father Scott Vanderveer here with a little update on St. Mary's Robin family. Our parish had the joy of hosting a family of robins, mother, father, and 4 little babies in a tree outside of our office window in May 2021. It was a great way for us to welcome spring and say goodbye to the worst series of weeks and months that we had during the pandemic after a long winter, and have a chance to see the incredible resourcefulness of robins. We thought at first that it was only the mother who was raising this family, but it was very clear after a while that it was mother and father both who, after the eggs hatched, took turns. One would stay with the nest, often sitting right on top of the babies, while the other was out gathering worms. And then the bird that came back would feed the worms to the babies and clear all the waste out of the nest with their own beak, while the other parent went to go and get more worms. These babies grew like gangbusters. It seems to me that within 2 weeks, we went from just realizing the eggs had hatched to having those fuzzy little birds fly out on their own. I think it's a great opportunity for us to not only marvel at the miracle of nature and appreciate this incredible animal that we have in birds that are singing us awake in the morning most of the time this time of year, that are building nests and scooting overhead, that are essentially built the size of like a mouse or a hamster, but who can fly, who have wings and the ability to fly. They are little miracles that are around us all the time. And I noticed that there's a birdhouse in the back of the rectory that I walked by the other day, and there's a little family of chickadees that have built their home in there this year. And those chickadees were so nervous seeing me walk by. They stood on the roof of their house and they twitched and they looked around, and it was very clear that I was not a welcome visitor, but was a sign of a menace. They have no way to know that I'm actually a friend. More than that, I'm the owner of the birdhouse. I'm the one who lives in the land that they occupy and shares it with them. They have no way to know that they're part of something so big and that they are so loved and appreciated. And it struck me that that's very true about our relationship with God too. So often I'm like a bird in my little birdhouse here, and I think that I'm in charge of determining everything that happens in my life, and that I'm the one who arranges things in a way that makes the best use of the resources at hand. I ignore way too often the fact that I was a bird who was provided this house, that I am the lucky one who gets to live in a world where there is a kind of generosity that is always nourishing my life. I eat bird seed just like birds do. It doesn't come in the form of seed, but it comes in the form of opportunities that are placed before me. Miracles in nature, like the fact that the ground grows crops, and that you can take those crops and grind them down, and you can make bread out of some, and you can make casseroles out of others. That there are so many ways that our life is just like the life of a bird. We are being encouraged to recognize all the ways that God's hand feeds us. Jesus says, why do you get all worried about things? Why do you let life worry you? Look at the birds. They don't worry. They don't take time to fret, but your Father takes care of them. Look at the birds. The birds are as numerous as could be. There's billions and billions and billions, but not one of them, Jesus says, falls from the sky without your Father in heaven knowing. I have to say that watching those robins work very industriously, but without any panic, was really inspiring. They didn't complain that their house was too small. It was remarkable to watch these beaks peeking up out of the nest, and then to watch mom or dad robin just sit there bottom side, their breast side, right down on the nest. Now, of course, they were doing their children a great service by keeping them warm, but I was also just aware, man, I would like another bedroom in this house. This house is way too small. That's what we would say. No, it's just right. It's fine. Nature has provided, and the industry of bird brain has provided how to create a nest that's just the perfect size. There's no reason to make a nest that's too big, to have a whole extra wing of the nest that has to be maintained. No, the family closeness is just exactly as nature intended it. You know, another lesson that I found myself learning by looking at these robins? I needed to just appreciate each moment as these little birds were growing up. I needed to just enjoy Tuesday and then Wednesday. I kept hoping that I would get a better view of them, that I would get to go outside and maybe stick my finger out and have one of them land on it, that I would be given opportunities that I didn't yet have. And I realized that in a lot of that scheming and wondering and kind of thinking about the future, I was missing the present moment. I wanted to cling at times to a certain stage of those baby birds' lives. I wanted to just focus on how cute they were when they were completely featherless. And I almost wanted to stop time, the kind of the way I like to stop summer from progressing, you know, before it gets too far along. I like early summer. I like seeing things go from the kind of dank brown winteriness of March through the flowering of April and the beauty of May. I don't want to rush too fast into late June and July and August. But if I keep looking backwards at the time that's already been, I'm going to miss what's now. What's more beautiful than June? And June is busting out all over. June, one of the most beautiful months there is. Sure, I miss the lilacs. Sure, I miss the daffodils. But June has so much to offer us. I think one of the most important things we can appreciate about the spiritual life is that it calls our attention to the fact that things are always changing and that we don't need to make a big story up about that. We don't need to make up a story about how things should have stayed the way they were, or don't you think things were better the old way? That's the most common human dynamic. That's the thing that we always wind up doing, is looking at a romantic past that probably wasn't what we make it out to be. We over-romanticize what was, ignoring that there were hardships present in that time too. And we sometimes over-dramatize the struggles of today, ignoring all the blessings that are always a part of the time that we're living in. It's always right to be living in the present moment because this is what God gave us. God wanted us to be here for this, which is why we are. And so it's always appropriate to appreciate this here right now. And it's also pointless to try to look to a future that hasn't occurred or to a past that can't be visited. The moment that we're in right now is where time and eternity meet. It's that eternal now. It's the only place where God is because God is always real and alive. And there's nothing real or alive in the future because the future is just an idea. And there's nothing real or alive in the past because the past is just a memory. Right here, right now is where God is because God is always real and alive. And right now is the moment that's real and alive. I miss those birds, but I heard, thanks to the internet, that if you leave a robin's nest where it is, they may come back and have babies in it again, perhaps even in the same year. So we're going to try to leave that nest undisturbed and see if maybe that or another mama or Daddy Robin wants to come back and build a nest and treat us to the miracle of watching them begin their family. I hope that you have opportunities this beautiful season to see nature in its full glory. And I hope that you have a chance to recognize how God is at work, both in the literal experience of nature, watching what's happening, but also in all the metaphors and analogies and life lessons that enrich us as we move forward. I'm grateful for this moment because it involves sharing this great tradition with you. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but here and now. God bless you.